Welcome to Get Your Mind Right. Today, we're diving into your questions and insights in our mailbag segment. Thanks to everyone who wrote in. Let's open up the mailbag.
Welcome to Get Your Mind Right Mailbag Edition. Today, we're talking about creative leverage, the kind of moves that break the routine, close tough deals, and sometimes leave a mark so deep the system has to change just to contain you. Well, in the backstory, I'm going to tell you about the most unexpectedly competitive person I've ever known, my mom, and how she once took down her entire high school. What happened next? Well, you'll find out. That story has everything to do with how we win deals today, especially when we don't look or sound like the favorite. But first, let's open the mailbag. We've got Patrick Hansen. He's a frequent contributor from Fredericksburg, Virginia. And Patrick wants to know what's the most out of the box, non traditional thing you've done to sign a deal. And we got Dave Eisen from Freeport, Tennessee. And Dave wants to know why is the word how, as in how are you, such a weak sales opener? And finally, we're going to finish up with Jake No from Boonville, Indiana. And Jake wants to know, how do you deal with merchants who admit they're illegally passing a fee but claim they haven't been caught yet? Strap in. We're going full throttle on this one. We're starting with Patrick Hansen from Fredericksburg, Virginia. And Patrick writes to me, John, what's the most non-traditional, out-of-the-box, creative thing you've ever done to sign a deal? Well, Patrick, you've already nailed this one. Showing up with energy drinks and helping your merchant run the register so he can fill out the application, that's elite level service disguised as hustle. Now, one of my favorites involves taco and time. I had a repair shop merchant who kept telling the rep, I'm in. I just haven't had a minute to knock it out. A rep had heard this line several times over multiple weeks. So one day the rep just showed up on lunch and said, hey, I brought you tacos and I got a hot spot with you. I'm not here to pitch. I'm here to let you eat while you finally finish that app. If you can do it between bites, I'll consider it a square. And he did it. The whole thing took 15 minutes. Now, the lesson here, sometimes the key to the close, well, it's not a better pitch. It's a better approach. It's a different approach. Lesson here was being human and being helpful. Be just unexpected enough to break through the noise. That's the big energy here. Don't wait for time to open up. Create space, show up, and solve the problem. Thanks for the question, Patrick. And next, my old buddy Dave Eisen writes in from Freeport, Tennessee. Dave says, why is how are you such a weak sales opener? Now, I'm going to give you a hint on this, and I got to tip my hat to Dave. He actually framed this as a subject and gave me the answer here. I love it. Thanks for the help here, Dave. And I like what you said, because really how are you? It's a cliche camouflage. It sounds polite. It sounds personal. It sounds human. But you know what? It's lazy. It gives zero value, zero energy, and puts your prospect on autopilot. Because they're going to say, good, you? And just like that, you're background noise and you're like everyone else who has called in. Now, here's one other thing on this for you folks that are going to give me pushback. And you say, well, you know what, John? I am sincere. I am concerned in how they are. Well, are you really? Because what I will suggest to you is really about anyone who really cares about what kind of day you're having is probably your mom. And that's about it. Beyond that, you're on your own. So let's take Dave's advice and get rid of this. So what should we do here? Well, the first thing is get permission, then get moving. You might say, hey, I got 90 seconds and something I think that you're going to want to hear. You got time that I can hit you with that. Or ask for something that they haven't heard today. Hey, Bob, what's your biggest headache this week? Is it technology? Is it staff? Is it payments? And then I want to drop a relevant hook on them. Hey, quick question here. If I could show you how restaurants like yours are adding $3,000 to $5,000 a month without spending a single dollar in marketing, Would it be worth 2 minutes of your time? Now, the idea is this: don't want to be a bulldozer, but you don't want to be wallpaper either. Pump the brakes just long enough to connect and then roll full throttle. Dave, when you're going to stand on your business, you know this, you start by standing out. Now, my next question comes from Jake No from Boonville, Indiana. And Jake says, John, how do you deal with merchants who say they're already passing the fees manually and they quote unquote haven't been caught? Well, Jake, I hear this a lot. It's very common and it's also tricky. The situation is you got a merchant doing it wrong. They know it's wrong. And they're basically saying, we're just going to keep gambling until the house catches us. Well, here's the move. We don't want to go full compliance cop. We want to go full solution pro. Try this. I totally get it. You found a workaround that's working for now. But let's be real. When Visa cracks down or your processor flips, who's going to protect you? Is it them? Or is it me who's offering you a fully compliant setup with zero liability and better results? Then Jake, you hit him with the money shot. Say, hey, listen, I'm not here to take away what's working. I'm here to help you keep the upside and get rid of the risk. You know what? Jake, you already know this. People, they don't like being told they're wrong. What they do want to hear is that they're being smarter, safer, and they're still being profitable. That's what we call strategic leverage. Great question, Jake. Thanks for sending it in. And now, my friends, it's time. Welcome to Backstory, where I take a step back before we move forward. Each week, I share moments that shape me, whether it's my time as a sales rep, my journey as a dad, experiences I had, stories I've learned, or the curiosity that's followed me since childhood. Because every lesson learned today, well, there's usually a story worth telling behind it. Let's get into it. And the name of today's backstory is Granny Style Wins. Now, if you ever wondered whether you can be fiercely competitive and full of grace, let me tell you about my mom. My mom was insanely competitive. I mean, get up at dawn to make sure your 4-H project has no dust on it. Competitive. I mean, do everything you can within the boundaries of the rules to win. Quite literally, leave it all on the field. Now, here's the other side of this. Mom had the kind of sportsmanship that is rare. If you ever beat her, she'd clap, smile, and genuinely say, great job. No salt, no bruised egos, just pure love for the game and the people playing it. You think about this, it's tough to be like this. Most people that you know are extremely competitive. There's an ugly side to it. It's not just liking to win, it's hating to lose, and sometimes being angry about losing. Bobby Knight famously said, you show me a good loser and I'll show you a loser. There's a lot to that. But back to my mom. She didn't lose easy, don't confuse this, but she lost with class. Now here's where it gets real. My mom, she is not what you would call in the traditional sense an athlete. But here's what she did have. She had extraordinary hand-eye coordination. Mom wasn't much on firearms, but every once in a while, when I was a kid and even as an adult, we would do some shooting, and my mom with a pistol was deadly. No training, didn't practice, but her steady hands and her sharp eye dispatched that bullet exactly where she wanted to land on the target. I didn't discover that my mom knew how to play table tennis until I was in my 40s. I got a table and mom picked up a paddle and said, let's go. I said, Mom, I didn't know you played table tennis. She said, oh yeah, when I was a kid, I played all the time. Quite literally, my mom had probably not played table tennis in 50 years, but a couple minutes later, there we are volleying the ball back and forth. Now, as far as competitive sports, Mom, she didn't grow up playing them because back then, girls weren't even allowed to play. The logic was quite simple. They might get hurt or worse, jeopardize their ability to later on bear children. Oh, yeah. That was actually the argument against girls' sports back in the day. But back when my mom was a sophomore, her high school made a rare exception. Now, during their annual May Day games, they decided to let girls compete in the free throw contest. This was the crowning event at the high school, and this was the last event everyone assembled in the high school to send off the May Day games. This was the contest everyone wanted to win. And mom stepped up. Then she did something no one expected. She shot granny style. Now, you know what these are. They're underhanded, smooth arc, and no flare whatsoever. Just perfect form and perfect spin. You may have seen these on old black and white reels. Some folks used to shoot free throws like this. But by 1961, it was pretty much passe. Now, mom, though, that was her style. She stepped up to the line, calm, focused, and efficient, and started dropping shots. And she won it. She didn't just compete, she owned it. Now, you want to know what happened the next year? They changed the rules back. Girls were no longer allowed to compete in the free throw contest. This was one and done. They did not like a girl beating the boys. Now, some of you folks, you might see this as tragic. Yeah, I don't, because what mom did was bigger than the accolade that she won. She played her own style. She brought her own technique. She certainly didn't apologize for how she won. And she was so loud and so audacious in her victory by her actions that they shut it down. I think that's the kind of rhino I want to be. You know, the moral here is you don't have to look like the favorite. And you don't need anyone's permission ever to win. And if your method, it makes people uncomfortable, you know what? That's not your problem. It's their problem. Let's bring it home. Patrick reminded us that the best closes come from effort and creativity, not polish. Real service wins. And Dave reminded us to ditch the dead openers and to start boldly. Earn the moment. And Jake showed us how to handle rebels with risk by offering them a better version of their own hustle. And of all people, my mother reminded us that sometimes the best shot that you've got is unorthodox, unexpected, and undeniably effective. Now, before we end our time together here, it's time for a quick quiz. Okay, let's do that again. Now, before we end our time together, let's do it one more time. Before we end our time together, let's do our quick quiz. What's the real value of being non-traditional in sales? A, it impresses your manager. B, it keeps prospects entertained. C, it shows effort, solves problems, and breaks through. Or D, it's only useful when the script fails. Drop your answer in the comments below. And hey, share this with someone who needs it. Like it and hit that subscribe button. You got a story about a deal you closed with food service or a granny style shot? I want to hear about it. Drop it in the box below. I'll see you here next time on Get Your Mind Right.